Good evening. My name is Rob Cagnetta, and this is a meeting of the South Kingstown of Rhode Island Zoning Board of Review. Members present tonight are Thomas Daniels, our Vice Chairman, Arlene Hicks, Jeff Elia, and our alternate, Mr. McDonald. Also present are Amy Goins, the South Kingstown Special Legal Counsel, Jamie Gorman, South Kingstown Building and Zoning official, and Ben Barbara, Building and Zoning Associate. The board is made up of 8 people with regular voting members, 5 regular voting members. A minimum of 4 members are necessary to vote. In the event that regular members are absent or recused, an alternate can step in. No more than 5 members are entitled to a vote, and at least 3 voting members are needed to grant the requested relief. Tonight, voting members will be myself, Mr. Daniels, Ms. Hicks, Mr. Elia, and Mr. McDonald. Applicants are here for either a dimensional or use variance or a special use permit. The board is made up of a quasi-judicial body created by the South Kingstown Ordinance pursuant to state statutes. We don't follow strict rules of evidence, and we operate in what we believe to be in a fair and equitable manner. We try to let everyone speak unless you get carried away or it's deemed not relevant. So in the interest of time, just please be brief and on point. We do our best to not argue and keep things civil as we try to hear our last petition by 10 o'clock. After we introduce your petition, please step up to the microphone on the podium and adjust it as necessary. You're going to press the red person button, or it's not red until you... and then once the microphone lights up, then you're active. When you're done talking, you can turn off the mic because there's feedback that happens. When you get up there and start the microphone, please state and spell your name for the record. You'll then be asked to take an oath to tell the truth, and then after that, you can present your petition with the witnesses you may have to testify in support of the application. The board will then ask you or your witnesses questions. After the petitioner has presented their testimony, anyone with questions in support of or in opposition to the petition can step up to the microphone. You will identify yourself, be sworn in, and present your testimony with follow-up questions from the board. Please do not direct any questions or comments to the petitioner or any witnesses. The board will direct those questions to the petitioner or the witnesses after the comment period. And then after we hear all the testimony, board members will discuss the application and the evidence presented. We're going to ask a lot of questions, and there's a good reason. We cannot just grant anything we choose. There are rules to follow per the South Kingstown Ordinance. So you must give testimonies to support certain facts to allow the request to be approved. So tonight we have dimensional and, yep, we have both. Dimensional and special use permits on the agenda. For the dimensional variance, you must present evidence that your hardship is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure, but it is not due to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, that your hardship is not the result of any prior on your part, that the granting of the variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area, and your hardship by the denial of this variance will amount to more than a mere inconvenience. And that means that the relief that you're seeking is minimal to reasonably enjoy the permitted use of the property that you're asking for. So for a special use permit, you must present evidence that the request is specifically authorized by the zoning ordinance. So somewhere in our ordinance, it has to say that the requested use is authorized, or we don't have the power to grant it. That the request meets all the criteria in the zoning ordinance that allows that special use, right? And we'll go over those things as they come up. And then the request will not alter the general character of the surrounding area, nor will it impair in the purpose or the intent of the zoning ordinance. And we can help you through all that stuff. So tonight we have just 4 things on the agenda. Is there any other special announcements or anything we have to? Nope. The first petition is the continuation of Silver Mesa Group, LLC. Is anyone here for that? Do I have to read the whole thing in? I probably should, no?
No, and I can summarize. The applicant's counsel sent the board correspondence dated, well, not dated, but on April 14th, requesting that this appeal be stayed, and what you can do is just table it. Basically, the cannabis landscape in Rhode Island is a mess now. The federal court has enjoined the Cannabis Control Commission from issuing any new licenses due to some pending litigation regarding the legality, constitutionality of the state licensing scheme, the law, the regulations. So it's a mess. I believe they may also have filed or are in the process of filing an application to planning, which would moot this appeal anyway at this point. And they acknowledge in the letter they would have to renotice it before this board ultimately hears the appeal. I think a motion to table is in order.
And if we table it, as you said, there's no limit as to when they can come back, right?
Right. It just stays on the shelf.
And if they don't exercise its use, it just stays there.
You know, I think we'll check in with the applicant and see if they have filed any planning application. So we can provide an update to the board, and we'll be in contact with them. But I think at this point, the zoning board, we don't need to keep this on the agenda from month to month.
And how do we make the motion to do that?
I would suggest a motion to table indefinitely.
Okay, board members, any thoughts on this?
I was going to ask if you wanted me to make the motion.
Sure, if no one has anything to say about it. It doesn't sound like...
Unless there's any discussion, in which case...
Nope, go for it.
Well, I would like to make the motion to table indefinitely the application of the Silver Mesa Group.
Excellent. And motion was made by Ms. Hicks. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Elia. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. Elia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald? Aye. Mr. Daniels? Aye. Mr. Cagnetta, motion passes. It's tabled. Okay, next on the petition we have Matunic Market, LLC. The applicant is seeking to amend the previously granted special use permit to expand the dining area of the existing restaurant with alcohol, which is use code 56.1, by 73 seats. The dining area will be located within the existing structure where a retail market was formerly proposed. The lot size is 0.91 acres. The special use permit is required per the zoning ordinance, section 301, Schedule Use of Regulations Table, section 504.18, which is the standards for a restaurant with alcohol, and section 907, the standards of relief. The owner is the Matunic Market, LLC, for the premises located at 151 Old Tower Hill Road, Assessor's Map 57-2, Lot 51, and is zoned CH. The applicant also seeks to amend a previously granted special use permit related to the abutting west property by interconnecting the subject lots by way of a paved driveway for purpose of additional parking. Lot size is 1.23 acres. A special use permit is required per the zoning ordinance section 702, standards of parking lots and loading facilities, location, and section 907B, special conditions. The owner again is the 133 Old Tower Hill Road, LLC, for premises located at 133 Old Tower Hill Road, Assessor's Map 57-2, Lot 52, and is zoned CH. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Nice to see everyone again on this nice warm day. Again, Elizabeth Noonan on behalf of Matunic Market, LLC. And I'm also on behalf of the adjacent property for what we're calling the Kenyon lot, the 133 Old Tower Hill Road. As you know, the Matunic Atelier opened up. It was on January 30th. When it opened, it was very successful, and there was some traffic issues that popped up. And part of this application here today is to address those traffic issues. And at the same time, Mr. Rasso, who is here this evening, is thinking that he might wants to expand the restaurant rather than add the market. Obviously, since we were first here for the special use permit for the restaurant in May of 2023, things have shifted for Mr. Rasso with what happened last spring at the Matunic Oyster Bar. He was able to get the tent during the summer, but then he sort of pushed this Matunic Atelier up to the front burner and has been successfully operating since then. So we have 2 lots at issue. The radius of abutters has gone out from those 2 lots, and there's 2 special use permits in play, one on the Kenyon lot, one on the Matunic lot, and what we're looking for are really 2 different avenues of relief. So the first is with the existing conditions, whether it's the market or the restaurant to come into it, we want to do this interconnection that's depicted here. And I've got Tom Principe, a civil engineer who prepared the site plan. He'll testify to that. And then we also have Bob Clinton from VHB. He was the traffic engineer back in 2023, and he's done an updated analysis for this property also. And what we'd like to show to this board is that the interconnection works because of the valet parking that is currently ongoing, because right after they opened up, it was apparent that valet was needed. Valet parking was put in. The interconnection came out of discussions with the abutting landowner for the upper part of the lot. Their special use permit goes back to 2000. I don't know if any of you were on the board back then, but what it was for was to allow the drive-through for the KFC and the Taco Bell, which is on sort of the lower portion of the lot. And what we're looking for is to sort of amend that but to adjust that special use permit to reflect that there will be valet parking after hours, 5:30 p.m. on the upper lot. And what we do propose is that that entrance off Narragansett Avenue West be blocked off when that's being used for valet parking, so that there won't be any Matunic Market or Matunic Atelier cars leaving onto Narragansett Avenue West after 5:30, because our gates closed from, as you recall, from 2 p.m. to 6 a.m., and then we're proposing to, have that entrance off Narragansett Avenue West be blocked at 5:30 p.m. There are businesses there. There are some people that may still come in and out, so we're, working on how that will operate. But once the valet parking goes in, no one's going to be coming off of Narragansett Avenue West. So with that, as I said, they're both special use permits, and we're using kind of the old standards that you were under before for the 23 approval. So with that, I will stop talking, and I will ask Mr. Principe to come up here and introduce himself to you if he hasn't been here before.
Thank you, Ms. Noonan.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Tom Principe, Principe Engineering Company, registered professional engineer.
Mr. Chairman, I was after money. Do you qualify as experts, or do you just accept them as?
Sorry, yeah, just please just spell your name for us.
Sure. Princicipe.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. I don't believe we do recognize necessarily experts in that sense. But certainly based on his credentials, he's known to have the expertise.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tom, if you could just tell the board what we asked you to do and what you've prepared for this application.
Right. Again, as you know, we're here before the board this evening, trying to obviously connect the 2 lots. We call it the Kenyon lot. It was just to the left of the screen, just to kind of simplify things for the members of the public and the board itself. So to the left of the screen, we have the Kenyon lot, and to the right is obviously our client's project. Interconnecting these properties is important just to kind of expand the parking itself. One of the things that we wanted to look at is to try to obviously minimize the disturbance. A big thing you'll hear this evening, and obviously we have a residential neighborhood on Narragansett West in the back, is we want to be sensitive to any sort of disturbance or vegetation disturbance itself. So the actual interconnection is not located close to Narragansett West. So we pushed it back approximately 60 or 70 feet just to interconnect it, and we made it as small as possible. So right now, the dimension is about 17.5-foot wide interconnection. So we're not trying to open up that entire property line. We're not trying to disturb all that vegetation. There's some trees and mature growth there. There are some small scrub vegetation, very low-lying vegetation that we're sensitive to. So that was one of the things that we kind of worked with the client and counsel on, just to make sure that was sensitive to that. Again, you know, as you heard, we have on the site plan, we do show the gates. There's an existing gate on Narragansett West that will have limited hours. And with this interconnection, we're going to propose a new gate as well. So that'll just be a post and a chain, and we'll have proper signage there to limit any sort of access or use. The other important factor here is down at the bottom of the screen, we do show proposed plantings. Right now, if you've been by the site recently, there's 3 evergreen arborvitaes, approximately 3 to 5 feet tall. We're looking to supplement those evergreens, approximately in the same height itself, anywhere between 10 and 12 of those to kind of cluster that. There are 2 mature trees within that cluster that, again, like I said before, we don't plan on disturbing any of that large vegetation in those trees itself. Happy to answer any questions the board may have.
So I guess I'm just trying to understand a little bit of the context of what sort of innate, like, requires them to have additional exemption for having that crossover.
Well, let me just step back a little bit, and even more generally, and council laid out why they're here, but this application is before the board because the board previously granted a special use permit because the use restaurant with alcohol requires a special use permit. Anytime you make changes to a property that has a special use permit, you need a new special use permit. And to add the extra layer to the board, what's proposed to change affects the adjacent property, which has its own special use permit granted 26 or so years ago. So this is back before the board because the properties involved are subject to previous special use permits, and now you need to grant a new special use permit for both properties to approve the proposed changes. So, and also, additional seats are proposed. So the previous, what you previously approved for Matunic Market was zoning compliant, was parking compliant. Now that seats are being added, they need more parking. So this is the proposed solution. Did that answer the question?
Yes, it did. I mean, it's because now you're changing the way egress happens to the adjacent property, so it's
Right.
also considering how movement is going to happen out of that property.
Exactly. The board's task tonight is to review you're not here to consider again whether a restaurant is appropriate for the site. You've already determined that. You're here really just to look at the changed conditions for both properties, which includes the additional seats that need additional parking spaces and the overall flow and layout, ingress and egress of the 2 properties. That's really the heart of it.
Okay, so would we be taking the 2 special use permits that exist now, that were issued at separate times and for separate reasons, would we be replacing those 2 special use permits with 1 blanket special use permit, or would it still be 2 special use permits for 2 different pieces of property?
The properties are separate and they're held under separate ownership, so they each have their own approval, right? One permits the restaurant, one permits Matunic Market, and the other one permits the multiple uses that are on the Kenyon Law property. You really, and those will remain, in those special use permits will be essentially superseded by, if you approve it tonight. So, no, but each by their own. Right, correct. You know, I guess it will be probably one decision, but technically 2 separate approvals. We'll figure that out later if and when we get to the approval stage.
Go ahead, Mr. Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Follow-up question to my colleague. The original special use permit was for restaurant and retail Retail is obviously not going to happen, they're going to go for restaurant. Does retail, does that previous approval stay with the property in perpetuity?
So I think tonight, and council will correct me if I'm wrong, I think the request may be not necessarily to eliminate the option of retail, but I think the idea is retail is not planned anymore. They would still have the opportunity to do accessory retail with the restaurant. I don't know that there would be a requirement to come back before the board. I think they'd like that flexibility, and I think they have a parking plan that shows it would be parking compliant. Now, but I'll let them handle that.
All right, so basically retail stays with the original, it doesn't go away because we grant a restaurant here.
Correct.
So 10 years down the road, somebody else might pick up on that special use permit and do a retail.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
On that, the retail is an allowed use in the commercial highway zone, so we actually didn't need the zoning relief for that. It was for the special use for the restaurant, special use permit for the restaurant. So how we envision, if this board does grant an approval, is that the conditions that are on the Kenyon lot, which, if you can pull out on that, the condition on the Kenyon lot had to do with, as I said, the KFC in the front, and there's a chain that is put up off hours, in the evening hours, and that was a condition of the special use permit. We're not proposing that we change that. That's gonna stay. We're just gonna say to allow the valet use on the property. So, and then on our side, again, we want to, and ask this board to expand by 73 seats. Now that number is driven by parking, and I have Bob Clinton will come up and testify about that a bit. There are 58 spots. We dealt with this last time. 58 spots on the Matunic lot. With that, we backed it down conservatively and used 55 spaces to get to, There's 58 physical striped legal spaces on that property. All right.
Okay, let me ask this, and I'm not asking you to testify, I'm asking you to make a statement if you wish. What happens if you have approval for 58? What happens if you put 59 and 60 people, 2 more people show up over the limit? What do you do?
Let me back that up. The parking spaces, this is a requirement of four seats to 1 parking space.
Well, I understand.
In the zone, right? So we've used 55 to get to a total seat of 220. So this plan as presented is zoning compliant.
Okay, but my question is, currently,
Right.
you're using 55 is what you're telling us. What happens when the 55 are filled and 3 more people pull into the parking lot? What do you do?
Well, with the valet parking handles what would essentially be over the zoning requirement to what's actually happening out there, which is what the valet parking is doing. if that makes sense.
Where do they go? Where do the spots go is my question. If you're using 55, you're approved for 58, you could put 58 in there.
Not for restaurant seats.
Pardon?
Not for the restaurant seats, because the restaurant seats are 4 to 1, right? So 4 seats to 1 parking space. So unless we ask you for a dimensional variance, we can't exceed that legal seating capacity. Our proposal is to be under that legal seating capacity. Now, legal seating capacity might be different from what's actually happening out there, okay? Just like it was at the other restaurant. The seating capacity was lower than what's actually happening. That's where the valet parking comes in, so that we can handle, and currently, and Perry can testify to this in a bit, it's handled on site with the valet parking. It really is working since after the first weekend of opening, which was kind of a little bit of an issue. But with the Matunic, if we can interconnect the Matunic lot and the Kenyon lot, it just gives more space if there's more cars.
Understood.
More cars coming.
Understood, but I'll go back to my original question. What happens today when 58 of those spots are filled and 3 more people pull into the parking lot? What do you do with them?
Let me take
Send them away?
That's what, again, I defer to the valet parking, but why don't I, in the short term, have Mr. Clinton, who's our traffic engineer, he might be able to explain it better than I can understand it. So, Bob, if you can introduce yourself to the board. His resume was uploaded into your system, so.
Good evening. My name is Robert Clinton, VHB Engineering. Clinton.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please go ahead.
Sure. I think what happens, existing conditions, there are 58 striped spaces. However, when valet uses those, they don't park in the lines. They stack. They double stack. So they can park well over the striped number of spaces. So they have, the zoning is one space for every 4 seats. However, some people may arrive 2 people per car. So there may be more vehicles on site than what the zoning requirement is. So those can be handled, like you said, what happens if 3 extra cars come? They can accommodate those spaces today. Now,
That's not in violation? That's not in a violation of the zoning ordinance? Of the approval that we granted for the number of parking spaces that went with that property? I need to know that that's not a violation.
So I don't think the board originally approved the number of parking spaces. This has been 58 since, many, many years prior to this current owner and use. So, having in excess of parking in a different reconfiguration, I don't think would constitute a violation.
Yeah, so when the board granted the original special use permit for Matunic Atelier, that did not require parking relief. It was parking compliant. And as council said, there's 2, the zoning ordinance is the zoning ordinance, and we can't force any applicant to provide more parking than what the zoning ordinance allows, whether it's right or wrong. But the board rightfully can inquire about the actual on-site conditions.
just to step back and go through our assessment, we did prepare a traffic assessment which looked at parking and it also looked at trip generation. So the first thing, let's talk about trip generation. So the existing approval includes a marketplace. And a marketplace, as you know, people coming home from work or back from the beach, they will stop in, stop in the market. Those are quicker trips rather than sitting down to eat. So you're going to have a little bit higher trip generation with the proposed market that's there, because you have people coming in and out of the site, and with the valet, they have to juggle cars a little. They could do it, and they have enough parking to accommodate the market. So then, when they switch over to change that, if they were to change that space over to restaurant space, the stays are a little bit longer. If you look at the trip generation, it's comparable, but you end up with actually the market producing more trips because you have more exiting traffic, because those quick turnovers of people stopping in, getting something at the market and leaving. And then talking about the parking spaces. You have zoning requirements, and then you have actual usage and the valet service. So we talked about the one parking space for every 4 seats. With the addition of the 73 seats to the existing 147, it brings you up to 220 seats, which that's where the number 55 comes in. You need 55 spaces, and there are 58 on the Matunic lot. So when you add the 58 spaces to the 23 on the adjacent parcel, those are striped spaces. Again, valet can get more than 23 spaces on that adjacent parcel too. So if you just count the striped spaces, there's 81 spaces, which brings it to 1 space per 2.7 seats. So 2.7 seats, and when you add the valet in, stacking, you're getting into a ratio of like one per every 2 seats. So that's plenty of parking to accommodate, peak events, peak things like that. So they also have agreed to, like special occasions, like let's say it's Mother's Day or something like that, high usage. They've agreed to a police detail for special events like that, and that's what they've done at their other facilities too. So,
Mr. Ely, you had a question?
Yes, I don't know if you can answer this, Mr. Principe. With the proposed cut-through, obviously, you're losing several of the parking spaces on the adjacent property, but on the upper level, I think spaces 49 through 52, are they impacted at all, or do they stay in place?
yeah, you can see the couple of spaces which they wouldn't be able to park in if you were to travel between the two lots.
Right, those would be removed, but on the upper lot, 49, 50, and 51, do those remain in place, or are those impacted?
Those are all remain in place. They can make those turns. And the spaces that are lost with the valet, you can park those cars where if you pan up on the screen where the KFC is, where the chained area is, you could easily park in there, those spaces, and then you can double stack.
Right, okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that those spaces on the upper lot weren't going to be lost.
And just before you go, Bob, you had done a report that's been submitted to the board, correct?
Correct.
And at page 5 of that report, you draw a conclusion that, is it fair to say effectively, it's sort of the same or less traffic flow than had been proposed for the prior use?
That's correct.
So I have a question, though. So in terms of the adjacent lot here, you have 25 in the front spaces and then 23 in the back. So are those 48 required for the use of the current property?
It's our understanding, and I'm representing the owners, and I think they've spoken with Jamie also in the past, that they have excess parking on that for their uses.
So based on their use, they're not required to have all those spaces?
Correct. And so even those parking spaces that, like 21 and 22 there, that may not be, those would only not be operational after 5:30 p.m. because they would remain in place even with the interconnection.
And do you know why there was a gate put in the middle of the lot instead of on the Narragansett Ave West?
I could only discern what was in the decision, and it seemed like they didn't want trucks or traffic going through back to Narragansett Avenue West from the KFC. But at the same time, they had to keep the office building available to have people to be able to drive out of the office building out of Narragansett West, because sometimes people are there after 5 p.m. in the evening. So that's what I understand, because that special use permit was for the drive-through at the KFC. And that chain is in place, and we don't propose to change that.
You know, but I mean, I would think, well, based on this use, you're not saying that they're going to be exiting Narragansett Ave West because they're valet.
Correct.
Right.
The Matunic Market or the Atelier will not be using Narragansett Avenue West from either exit from 5:30, on our property from 2 p.m. on, and on the Kenyon lot from 5:30 p.m. Matunic will not be using it at all. There may be people in the Kenyon building that may leave after 5 or 5:30. They said they have a few people. I think they have like a physical therapy office there and things like that in the office. The law offices may run late. So the idea is not to put a permanent gate on Narragansett Avenue West on the Kenyon lot, but to either, like a chain, post and chain or cones or something like that to block it off. But I know there's been we've received 2 abutter letters. One, earlier one was posted to the system at 6:30 tonight about sort of operational concerns for how it works. I think they both said they don't actually object to the expanded restaurant use, but how it functions on Narragansett Avenue West. On Perry's property, he does have a standing gate on part of it, but then he uses a chain in between, which I think is compliant with what you asked for before, along with some signage. Maybe the signage needs to be tweaked. And during the winter time, there was a lot of snow out there, so there is some issue with the trucks. But truck deliveries were allowed at the full time, even when the gate was up by this board. It's closed to everybody else, but truck deliveries can come in there. On the Narragansett Avenue West, like I said, after 5:30 p.m., it will not be used by the Matunic restaurant at all to get through there. So our goal is actually, and hope, is to pull any restaurant traffic off of Narragansett Avenue West. We don't want it going out there. We want it going out Old Tower Hill Road. That's part of the control of the valet. You pull in there, if you've seen it, you pull in, they take your car, no one parks themselves, and the valets will not be going out Narragansett Avenue West. There may have been some confusion that first weekend, but since that time, it should not have been happening.
And is there a fence up there now? Because it seemed to suggest, this letter suggested the fence wasn't there yet.
That's not accurate. There's I don't know what material it is, but it looks like wrought iron, that, but what it is not where the actual driveway is, it's a chain, which makes it, kind of simple rather than having a remote device or something like that. But there is a black, like wrought iron looking fence, and then right where the pavement is, there's a chain in between it.
So are you also saying in this that all parking for this will always be valet and nothing else?
Yes.
Okay.
That's-
So
that's the
could
plan.
we put that stipulation in, that this cannot be used for any other traffic or any other parking except for valet?
You mean valet parking must be provided at all times? I think you can. I think you may want to build in somewhat of a level of flexibility, only because, typically what, January, February is like kind of a slow time for restaurants, other than a restaurant that has just opened, So I could, and I don't know how you would craft it, but I think the board could think about whether, because I don't know if there are other restaurants in town that, and, certainly in urban areas, it's common, right? There's nowhere else. I think you could consider giving a level of operational flexibility. I'm just not sure how you would do that.
While I believe the success of Matunic Oyster Bar will be for a long time, it's just that in 50 years, let's say, this is just still there, and people are like, why is this crossover here? Oh, we're just going to exit from here, park from here, and now all of a sudden Narragansett Ave West becomes, part of that egress that was never intended because it was designed as a valet parking lot, right?
Right.
So, and that's why I'm trying to understand why this fence is in the middle of the lot instead of closing off Narragansett Bay or Narragansett Ave West. It
Like
doesn't
I said,
seem to make sense. But
Again, 25 years ago, I think the goal was, there was concern, of the KFC traffic, which ran at different later hours than the law offices, going on to Narragansett Avenue West after hours, I would guess. If someone goes in 10 o'clock at night, drives through and gets something and then comes
uses it
back
as
out.
a cut-through.
Yeah, and I can, for the future, that's been in place 25 years, and they've been adhered to as far as I know, in keeping that chain up, and that's why we're not proposing any chains. We talked about, maybe we could drop it, everyone could do that, but it's been working for 25 years, so, and that would be a zoning violation if they started, like I said, I think, one of the things is that if you say valet parking, and no valet parking shall exit off of Narragansett Avenue West, it's hard to say. That could be an emergency situation, but
Yeah, how do you enforce
I do
that?
think what was happening that very first weekend, maybe the valet were pulling out and coming around, but that's not happening, and has not happened since. There is a letter from the Chief Moynihan from the police department, who said that he got one complaint the day after the restaurant opened, and
Right.
since then he's received no complaints at all of traffic coming off of Narragansett Avenue West inappropriately.
So, but if you're saying that part of the reason of making a skinny passway is to not make it enticing, and use it for the valet only, again, if it's not used just for that, is that big enough to have safe egress?
Right.
Should you have more and just,
Then
'cause-
maybe the limitation would be, if and when the interconnection is used, it must be used related to valet parking. So it's not opened up, and we're not proposing to keep it open during the day at all. The whole idea of doing the interconnection was to make sure that there were not future traffic problems, and I'm sorry if this is confusing, having the two lots with the two special use permits. Amy and I talked about it. Should this be separate applications? And we ended up doing the one application altogether, along with Perry's request to expand, so we didn't come back in 2 months and ask you, for additional relief.
We
So
haven't even gotten to that yet.
I understand, but I'm just saying we after discussion ended up with the one application, so.
Okay, so that's where this extra chain link comes from.
That's right.
And you're going to have it on the adjacent Kenyon property, the chain link, not so much on the Matunic side.
I'm not exactly sure where the chain link, yeah, it's on the Kenyon side, correct.
Okay.
So I
But-
think a fair condition would be that if you approve the special use permit amendment on Kenyon lot, that one, you keep the prior conditions in place, that's fine. And then, when the chain is, I guess, undone, it can only be used for valet parking.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't want to see someone, parking and then of course, they'd take the shortcut and try to
Take
back
off
out
right
if they could, but only used for valet parking. I think that could work as a restriction.
Certainly, and you can also require signage to that effect.
Yeah.
Thank you for entertaining that. Any other questions, board members, related to this? Did you want to add more for the parking?
Not on the parking, I think that was for that.
Okay.
All right.
So,
As to the expansion of the restaurant, we have included floor plans that were drawn up. They show an addition of the 73 seats, which, again, Mr. Daniels, that was driven from the parking calculations. The entrance will remain the same, so you'll still come in the same entrance and then go to the back where the seating is. And in looking at the standards that the original special use permit was granted under, we believe that it's still in compliance with that in terms of, let me get that narrative here. Your old special use permit standards, which we're operating under for this one, is that ingress and egress to the lot, will have reference for automotive and pedestrian safety and traffic flow. So I think Mr. Clinton's testimony, while it talks about the interconnection, also relates to the allowed parking on the lot and how the traffic will flow within there. Off-street parking has been addressed, obviously. Trash storage and delivery area, that's on the Matunic lot. And that really is not going to change with the addition of the 73 seats. It is just an expansion. Utilities are the same. Screening and buffering. Now, I know in some of the abutters correspondence, we've seen a request for some additional screening and buffering. I know the first objector letter, I believe Mr. Rasso met with them or talked to someone and pointed out that in the site plan, there will be additional buffering on the Narragansett Avenue west side. So in addition to what's there, and we're in compliance now. There was no additional landscaping requirement in the initial approval, but the site plan we show you does include vegetation on the lots, and we think that's appropriate in this case, and we won't be cutting down any trees that are close to Narragansett Avenue West, just what's needed for the interconnection, but there's a lot of growth in between there. And then signage, if any, exterior lighting, again, it's the same essentially as what is out there right now. Maybe we can enhance the signage both for the interconnection and also for anything off Narragansett Avenue West to ensure that this is just, not for access after those certain hours and for the valet parking only. So with those, I think that the special use standards are essentially the same as we met last time, and would urge that the 73 additional seats is almost more consistent, and because you don't have that change of times of people coming into a market versus coming into the restaurant. So that's it on the special use standards. Perry, do you have anything you want to discuss or add at this time, or wait for some questions maybe? Okay, any questions that come up, yeah. And then, although we are not under the newer special use permit criteria that you have, we did go through and address those. One of the standards is that there's a ratio of bar seats. With this floor plan that we've added, we're not adding any bar seats to it. So the existing ones that are there will be no addition. It's not like we're putting in a back bar or something like that. That was one of the things. Whether or not it'll change, that they need to be in non-residential neighborhoods. That's one of your new special use permit standards. We've shown this is commercial highway. This is what's called for in this district and is shown as non-residential character in this area. And talks about parking again. We've talked about in the interconnection plan that we've submitted already. I think that covers it. And I would, again, turning to the The abutters' concerns, I can understand it, it's been a change. They've been fair to say that they don't oppose the restaurant. They just want to make sure that, again, I think the traffic is limited back there. That is our goal also, is to not have any of the valet parking come out there. And one of the concerns of, I think it was 57 Narragansett Avenue West, they were concerned about the vegetation that had been removed on the Kenyon lot. I guess there was a lot of vegetation on the rear there. I spoke with the owners today. They said the vegetation was removed in order to install the ADA ramp. That's why it was installed. So if some additional plantings are needed along that part of the Narragansett Avenue West, or the neighbors want the plantings on their property, we can do that. And then finally, again, I turn to Chief Moynihan's letter, which, if I can read a portion of it to your record, it's been uploaded in the system. It's dated April 6, 2026. And he says, I'm writing regarding, it's addressed to you, Mr. Chairman, I'm writing regarding the Matunic Atelier located at 151 Old Tower Hill Road in South Kingston. And in the third paragraph, he says, I anticipated the potential for traffic congestion and related issues following the opening. However, I'm very pleased to report that none have materialized. In particular, the use of valet services has been extremely effective in preventing vehicles from backing up onto Old Tower Hill Road, which could otherwise present a safety concern for the motoring public. And then skipping down to the last paragraph, Chief Moynihan said, based on our past interactions, Mr. Rasso has consistently demonstrated a willingness to work collaboratively with the police department to address concerns at his Matunic location, the other restaurant, the one that burned down. I am confident that the same community-focused approach has been carried over to the Tower Hill Road location. Overall, Mr. Rasso and his team have been proactive and attentive in managing operations. The level of responsiveness is especially important in a mixed commercial and residential area, and it has not gone unnoticed. So it is our goal to continue that cooperation to ensure that traffic issues don't occur on either one of the streets that the restaurant is located on, and then to coordinate with the police to the extent, as Mr. Clinton had said, there's any times where there's excessive traffic, and with police details. If you recall that, at the Matunic Oyster Bar, there were police details down there on occasion. But with this restaurant, the same implementation of a reservation system and the valet, I think it's going to work. It'll flow and work better. The retail is sort of removing that, as I said, kind of has the same, now you have the same uses going in at the same time. So that's all I have to present, unless the board has any questions of the experts or Mr. Rasso or me.
Board members, any questions of?
Yes.
Yep, Mr. Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Noonan, you've obviously, you just referred to the abutters letter, so I'm
Right.
going to continue to refer to it since you've put it in evidence, basically.
Well,
Okay?
they did, but I wanted to address it.
Okay. So if you look at page 2
Which letters?
on the
The one that was,
yeah,
that we
the one
received
that
this
came in-
evening?
the one that came in this evening.
Yeah.
Yeah. A Betty, I believe it is. A Beatty? Okay. I just want to ask you to respond or comment on the opinion of the abutter that the original permit only permit only applies to the lower lot, and she goes on to talk about the conditions, and that's in the first 10 or 15 lines of the second page. Do you want to offer an opinion on that?
Yeah, again, the decision is fairly brief on it. I don't know where the determination comes that it's only to the lower lot, because I think, to me, it seems the import of putting the chain there is to restrict access from Narragansett Avenue West to go through the lot. These are through lots, obviously. So when I read it, and I don't live in the neighborhood, I can understand the neighbors might have a different understanding, was that by putting that there, it would restrict lower lot traffic from cutting into the upper lot and going out Narragansett Avenue West. So, as you know, special use permits cover the whole lot. I can't imagine, if the lot ended right at where the chain was, there wouldn't be an issue necessarily, but it did have a pathway through. So to me, the chain looked like a way to restrict the flow of traffic onto Narragansett Avenue West, or prevent anyone from using it as a cut through. except to the extent that the upper lot, if you will, of course, has office uses that may go beyond that time. But I view that as a protection for the neighborhood to limit traffic onto Narragansett Avenue West.
Okay, I understand that, but she's saying that the original special use permit only applied to the lower lot?
And if I could just read the condition of approval from that decision, just so the board knows, I think, what we're talking about. The condition of approval from the 2000 decision on the Kenyon lot, there are 4 conditions, so this is condition number 2. It says, a chain shall be put into place to cut off access to the rear parking lot from Tower Hill Road during the hours when the office located in the rear building are closed, and the western driveway on Narragansett Ave will be eliminated, restricting traffic movement onto Narragansett Ave.
So the entire lot was approved originally, then, is that clear?
Yeah, I mean, the entire property was the subject property for that special use permit application.
Okay,
I don't have the site plan that the board would have, that would have been approved, but the condition of approval, that's what it says.
okay, thank you.
And
Thank
and if I may, I think in that condition number 2, where she mentions, where the decision mentions, the rear parking lot and the access with the office, the second part of it, because the abutter does also mention it, it says, and the western driveway on Narragansett Avenue will be eliminated, restricting traffic movement onto Narragansett Avenue. So one, that's further evidence that they're covering the whole lot. And as I drove by it, I've driven by several times over the last few months, to me, and again, neighbors know more, there's in the existing driveway that you see, that you come out of, and then it looks like if you're on Narragansett Avenue facing towards Old Tower Hill Road, that there was a space on the western side for a driveway. To me, it looks grassed over, and I also see like storm pipes running out, like with stormwater runoff. So I don't know if people use that as a driveway and if there was more they're supposed to do, but it's relatively grassed. And as I said, I saw storm drain pipes kind of running into what looked like the middle of it. So she says in her letter that it's being used as a driveway and wants it eliminated. If it's not, it should be consistent with this decision. In my mind's eye, it was consistent, but I think it's further down on Narragansett Avenue there, even further down, further west, I guess. Yeah. But if it's not compliant, it should be. But to me, it looks as if it's grass. It's certainly not paved, and it's further. It's past the structure. No, that's too far, maybe. See where it's right in there. I think, again, a neighbor might know better than me, but to me, that's what looked like an old driveway. If people are using it, they shouldn't be. It clearly was a condition, and when I saw it grassed over and not paved, I assumed it wasn't being used. I don't have any evidence or knowledge to the contrary, but certainly that is a condition, and we have no problem with these 4 conditions, of course, continuing on, and then with the interconnection if there's any additional conditions.
Board members, any other questions? I had one in terms of adding 73 seats. It's not going to require any more, any additional, be it deliveries or garbage. I mean, you said none of that was going to change, but so you don't think any of that intensity is going to require another dumpster or anything like that?
I don't believe so. I mean,
Okay.
and Perry might be able to address that more appropriately. I mean, there are more seats, but it's sort of just a scale of, if a truck's coming in with X pounds of whatever, that may
Right.
be X plus, but it's still going to be the same truck. It's not going to be different trucks. It's not going to be different vendors. It's going to be the addition of the same. And I don't think we're not proposing any additional dumpsters if they need to be emptied more frequently. Perhaps that's the issue.
Okay.
On that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, board members, at this time? No? Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone out there want to speak on behalf of this petition for it? Okay, anyone opposed or have concerns about it, want to come up and talk about it? Mr. Betty, you don't have to, if you want.
I'll let my neighbors know
Okay, yep. As Mr. Daniels had mentioned, there was a few letters that were sent in, and we addressed some of the concerns by, come on up, I'm just doing a welcome. But there were concerns about sort of the egress signage and the gates and so forth. So please tell us your name, turn on the mic and speak and spell your name.
I'm Virginia Kenny, Virginia, Kenny, Kenny.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so please tell us what you'd like to say.
We live, my husband and I, at 57 Narragansett Avenue West. Moved there in 1997, and we were really pleased with the landscaping of the Kenyon building. We thought for an office building, it really had nice landscaping. And when the proposal for KFC came through, we reluctantly agreed to it. That needed a special use permit for its drive-through for takeout. And at the time, Archie Kenyon came over to talk to me about it, and he said he liked the bushes that were there. They were going to stay. He had nice big rhododendrons and tall deciduous trees that were down at the lower end of the lot, which is now the area that's behind the KFC building. So that screen is gone now. Mr. Kenyon died. There was a change in ownership of the Kenyon building. I believe it went from 6 people down to 2, and a lot of vegetation came down. And our concern with the new plan, and I just want to back up to comment on, yes, there was vegetation removed around the front of the building, apparently for their ADA ramps, and that's not my concern. What we've lost is the vegetation near the road on either side of the driveway as you enter from Narragansett Avenue West. There was a nice hedge that came all the way out from the left side, and then there was greenery that came from the right side as well. And I happened to come across pictures that I took in 1998 that are not up there. I was just taking pictures of the landscaping around. So that was a disappointment that all this nice screening came down. So if part of this project includes landscaping requirements, it would be very nice if some of that screening returned. At the lower end, to block off KFC, because we're just looking at the back of the building and the trash that's there, and it's all lit up at night sometimes. And then on the Narragansett Avenue side, if on the left and right sides of that entryway, if there could be tall greenery. I know on the plan, I think it says 3 to 4 feet high on the shrubs that would be planted there.
Yeah, it says minimum. but-
Minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they'd be allowed to grow bigger, that would be helpful. So that's pretty much what I have to say. Thank you.
So would you, it's okay, so would you say all the way down the Kenyon? Or like what are you looking to achieve with the vegetative buster?
To screen the driveway, so we're not
Buffer.
seeing the cars parked so much in the parking lot.
So as tight to the driveway as possible?
Yeah, and I know when it came down, one of the owners said, well, it was dangerous to pull out there, but instead of just trimming the bushes, he took them out altogether.
Right.
So
you're just thinking, okay, yeah, we do have it up.
If you want
So,
to,
good.
direct my cursor to the,
So on the left side there, you
Yeah.
say approximate property limit, lot 52. So where it doglegs out a little bit to the right there at
Yes.
the bottom of that number
Yes.
10. So you're thinking right underneath the lot 10, or the parking space 10 after the number 52. So that spot there, you
Yeah.
want to have some
Right.
greenery? Now, is it a height thing you're thinking, or is it
well,
more?
to block the cars, so we don't see the cars so much.
Okay. Is it like lights? Is it
No, it's just cars and pavement.
just
It's
cars?
really not an attractive parking lot.
I mean,
So-
they also didn't have, they don't have a dimension of it, so I don't know if we need to establish a dimension or identify placement, or just sort of rely on this plan to say, put some bushes here?
If you're going to require landscaping as a condition of approval, I think just letting the providing specificity on location, type, you know, you can request that that the building official review an updated landscaping plan. Yeah, I think if, you don't want to use a word like sufficient. I think you're going to, you'd need to be specific on what, if you want to require landscaping as a condition of approval, you'd need to say what needs to be, you know, whether it's a 6-foot buffer or just, and maybe the applicant's team can suggest an appropriate condition, but yet, we just need to be specific.
But we can generalize it and say a 6-foot evergreen,
Yes.
something like that, as opposed to roadies or something. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but do you think that that spot is about where you want to have it, right at the, I'll call it the head, the front of the space there to the
Yes.
driveway itself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right now, the only screening we have is that strip of land that goes between Narragansett Avenue West and Tower Hill Road.
Right.
So-
But that existing size of that driveway is to remain the same. It's not like they're making it bigger or anything. So
Yeah, it's pretty wide as it is.
it is pretty wide, yeah.
Yeah.
But, okay.
And I just want to clarify, too, a comment about the gate on the Matunic-Atelier side. There are 2 fences there and a
Okay.
gateway, but there's no physical gate.
There's no, so it's not closed at night? It's not closed from 2 to 6 a.m. every night, that gate?
There is a chain. It's
A
like-
chain.
It's a plastic chain. And
Right.
it has random hours.
So, yeah, I think, well, what's the difference between a gate and a chain, Mr. Gorman?
I would say a gate is something that's hinged, perhaps, but, I mean, even on the site plan, the applicants, it shows existing fence and gate, but then on the new cut-through, says new posts and chain, so I would consider it
Pretty
different.
explicit, then.
But I don't think the board really gave, you know, a clear definition at the original approval, like
Okay.
the type of gate, so
We just said for it to be closed off. We didn't necessarily say gate, chain,
the type of
guard.
gate, the height of the gate, you know, is it opaque? So that wasn't really clarified, but a chain, in my opinion, is not a gate.
Okay, so now if someone submitted a plan that said that they were putting in a gate, but they have a chain, and we didn't say there has to be a chain, that's okay. Or we didn't say it had to be a gate. Like, is it based on what's submitted?
It's really, the conditions are really driven by what's in the written decision in conjunction with the submitted site plan. So the condition of approval that I read from for the 2000 decision for the Kenyon lot, the second condition of approval is about a chain being put in place. Whereas number 3 says a solid fence shall be placed along the drive-up lane under the existing mature trees to create a solid visual and noise buffer. So there's a difference between a chain, a fence, a gate, whatever conditions the board wants to impose. If it approves this application, let's just be specific so we know 20 years from now, if someone comes back, what was intended.
So, okay, and your preference would be what on the Matunic lot for that back barrier? Would you say, because you said it's a chain now.
Yeah.
You thought it was supposed to be a fence or a gate.
Yeah, something movable.
So something more gate-like, you're saying would be better?
Yeah, only because that's what was said in the beginning.
Okay, okay,
But, yeah.
all right. Mr. Daniels?
Mr. Chairman, do we have a copy of the special use permit with that condition, so we can,
That's in the board's materials. That's,
okay?
yeah.
I'll look at that. The other question I have is, Mr. Chairman, you asked about, and in coordination with the witness about putting some trees in, some shrubbery or whatever, but I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, the applicant doesn't own that property.
So, the applicant doesn't own the property, but what they needed, Kenyon, the owner of the Kenyon property, sign off to bring this application before the board. So they don't have site control, but there's an agreement in place, or will be an agreement in place, meaning an easement, for the valet parking. So my advice to the board is, you can impose conditions on the Kenyon lot to mitigate, what's being requested for the Matunic lot. And I think we'd hear from the applicant if any of the conditions that might be imposed would be unreasonable, or, if you're gonna suggest anything that doesn't sound good to them, I think we're gonna hear from their counsel tonight that it might not work. So let's work on that if we get there.
Is that it, Mr. Daniels?
Wait, Ms.
Oh,
Kenny?
Ms. Hicks?
Ms. Kenny, may I ask you a question? Okay.
Sorry.
I want to be clear. Are you saying that initially there was greenery on the Kenyon lot and then it was removed?
Yes,
Okay, when was it removed? At what time?
in the 2000s.
The greenery was removed in 2000
No,
and there's
in the-
been
in the
nothing there?
2000s.
And what?
In the 2000s, I don't
Okay.
have the date.
But I mean, there's been no greenery there since that
Oh, no,
time?
there is, but it's, he's removed some of the greenery. There is an existing, on the left-hand side, existing evergreen tree.
Okay. Has anything been removed since the Matunic Atelier went in?
Not on the Kenyon property,
Okay,
that I can tell.
all right.
Yeah.
So did you ever bring this issue up previously?
No. You mean
Okay.
with the owners of the Kenyon building?
With anybody?
No, I did not.
Okay, because it just seems like there hasn't been anything there for a long time.
Since the 2000s.
Okay.
Since, yeah.
All right.
Since the new owners came, and they did some remodeling at their building, and that's when a lot of stuff came down.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
So,
Yeah.
wait,
Oh.
so wait, there's a second part? So, is there anything in the initial 2000 special use permit requiring any type of planting?
In the 2000?
Yeah, in the Kenyon lot special use permit.
It's in the record, we can take a look at it.
Well, that's what I was wondering. If the owner of the property has not been in compliance with the special use permit that they got back in 2000.
Well, that's a legitimate question, but I think even the more important question for the board is, what, if any, additional landscaping needs to be installed on the lot as it is today, again, as a reasonable condition of approval to mitigate neighborhood impacts. So I'm not dismissing the question about whether they're in violation. I don't know the answer, because again, we have the written decision in the record. I don't have a site plan. There were some conditions about, a visual buffer, but I don't see right here in front of me as I'm looking at it, anything specific about landscaping. But I think tonight, the board certainly can go there if we're talking about conditions of approval.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. If we can circle back to the 2000 special use permit that was just referenced by my colleague. There are 4 conditions of approval, and the third is a solid fence will be placed along the drive-up lane under the existing mature trees to create a solid visual and noise buffer. So it talked about, it specified the existing trees. I don't see anything that indicates that there was additional requirements for landscaping in the 2000. Okay. If I may continue to the special use permit we granted in 2003, there were, just for the record to clarify, we're talking about chains and gates. The approval that we approved with conditions, condition number 2 was the applicant will install a gate running across the rear of the lot parallel to Narragansett Avenue West. This gate will remain closed between the hours of 2 p.m. and 6 a.m. the gate may be open and closed to allow for deliveries that may occur outside of those hours. So it does specify gate.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Any other questions for Ms. Kenny? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does anyone else want to speak on behalf of this petition? Come on up. Turn on the mic and state and spell your name, please.
Good evening. My name is Casey Abedi, K-A-S-E-Y, Abedi, A-B-E-D-I.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So what would you like to say?
You guys received my correspondence late this evening, and I apologize for that. There's been a lot going on. I don't know if you can pull up some of the pictures, and I think there's some clarifying information for the lot on the Kenyon lot. When that original approval in 2000 was done, there is a gate in between the lower and upper lot of that property. It was put there to restrict the flow of traffic going into Narragansett Ave West, and that the lower lot was only to be, the gate was only to be open during office hours to let traffic come in from Tower Hill Road into that office building. The original permit was requiring them to get rid of the access on Narragansett Ave altogether. That was never removed, and that's fine, or at least that's how I understood what that permit said, and that's what I wrote in there. I could be wrong. I have lived in the neighborhood for 35 years, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And then with the gate at the back of the 151 Old Tower Hill Road, when we came here in 2023, it was said that there would be a gate that would be opened and closed, and that the access would be restricted. There's not a gate there right now. And there is still traffic coming in and out of it, maybe sparingly now that I called and complained that first weekend after being cussed out by an employee of Mattoonic Market. We'd like to see that gate go in.
It sounds like it is a requirement, so there.
And I would also like the trucks to stop parking on the street.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Part of that application when they applied was that there would be a delivery zone which was on the property of 151 Old Tower Hill Road in the back. Right. There was no approval for them to have trucks parked on Narragansett Ave West, unloading and loading.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if we can prevent where people park, if it's
There's no
illegal
parking signs on that whole road.
Okay. So that, I think that would end up being a traffic more than it would be a zoning issue. So I think we were trying to do our best to make sure that they had easy access to that site without using Narragansett.
That's
Ave
totally
West.
understandable. Their lot is narrow. That back
Right.
parking lot is very narrow for them, and understand that having the trucks pull out that way would make it easier for them to have deliveries. I don't have a problem with that. It's just
Right.
they've been blocking the road.
Right. Yeah, that, I mean, it becomes a traffic issue, yes. But less, I mean, it's not something we can enforce or the building official can enforce per se. But, you know, there shouldn't be any stopping or standing if it's not required. And they certainly would get the message if they were fined for doing so.
Yeah. And then just the Kenyon lot, it would just be nice for them to, again, like put up either a fence along the road where it's abutting the neighborhood, or some trees to block out the light and noise.
So you're saying to remove then the chain link that's in between the
No.
upper and lower?
No, that's there to prevent traffic. No, I'm saying at the upper part of the the upper lot of the Kenyon lot, it's very open
Yep.
to the road to Narragansett Ave West, and because it's an office building, there's very little traffic on a
Right.
regular basis, but now we're talking about hundreds of cars coming in and out each night that
Not through that
they're gonna
Exit.
use the driveway.
Use the driveway.
From
From Matunic.
151, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're still going to be pulling in and parking, and that's a lot of headlights and taillights.
Right.
And lights in general. So if there could be a requirement for either a fence or trees to block out some of that light and noise, not in the driveway, but on the property itself.
So you're saying to close off that driveway from that street and then put shrubs in it?
No.
So-
Leave the driveway as is.
Right.
Put a, chain link fence there from 5:30 on when that is used by Matunic Market, just so that no traffic can come into Narragansett Ave West, but just to put up most of these, all of the commercial lots on Narragansett Ave West have some either fencing or shrubbery.
Right.
To block out that. We're just asking that that be added. It's added on the right side of this,
Right.
but to add it onto the left
Oh,
also.
sure, just like we were talking about
Yeah,
before.
just to
Oh,
do
okay.
that.
I thought you were saying to close off that.
No.
which,
I think having
okay.
a chain there will prevent people from coming in and out, even if in the future they're not using it for valet.
Yeah.
Let's say they're not busy and people are parking themselves, it stops them from coming into Narragansett Ave West.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if could we force them to double chain a lot, like to close off a lot like that? Like if you were to put a chain on Narragansett Ave West as well as a chain in the middle, in between the KFC and that upper lot?
I don't think the fire marshal would like that.
Well, you can
Yeah.
you could leave the bottom one open then.
Leave the lower one open?
Yeah, the lower one open, because the upper chain would still restrict traffic into Narragansett Ave West. That was its whole purpose. It's a gate also.
Right.
It's not a chain.
I mean, that's a really wide, I mean, to put a gate on that width would be, well,
Not a gate, a chain.
yeah.
Because otherwise, people will still be able to use it. I mean, what happened when they first opened was that their chain that was there on the Matunic side wasn't closed. There was no gate or chain there, and they were driving all of the vehicles from that lot into the Kenyon lot at night.
I see.
And we want to prevent that from happening again.
I got it.
I know that
Well,
they're putting
but-
it in the driveway now, but
Yeah.
in the future,
I mean, a chain or a gate wouldn't stop that either. They could just open it up.
no,
But, I mean, I understand what you're saying, because moving it from one spot to the other, I don't know. It's just an interesting, like, to put the chain in the middle of the lot in the first place just seemed very strange, and without knowing their logic behind that, and just thinking that.
it was to make sure that traffic didn't flow into Narragansett Ave West.
I know, but why didn't they put it on Narragansett Ave West? Why did they put it in the middle of the property?
Because they wanted to leave access for the office building on Narragansett Ave West.
Okay, so if people
So
left
that,
there
like-
after 5:30, they
So
would be able to go
after
out?
5:30, that the employees that work in the office building can still come in from Narragansett Ave West.
Got it. But now that use has changed to mostly a dentist, right? That
Yeah.
their hours have changed.
Yeah.
And I think that the most important thing for the board tonight is to focus on what the conditions are today. And the proposed conditions.
Right,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Rather than rack our brains trying to figure out why.
What were they
let's-
trying to do
let's-
then?
Let's try to ensure safety and appropriate access, ingress and egress for today's site conditions.
Thank you, that helps. So you would prefer shrubs be put on the left, on the Narragansett Ave West side, and then remove the center chain and move that chain to the Narragansett Ave
Yeah,
West?
if that's
Yeah,
what
that's okay.
if that's what it takes to restrict access to Narragansett Ave West from that lot during hours that they're using it, then yes.
So how about that chain that's in between the Matunic property and the Kenyon property? Would you want to see that chain there as well?
No.
You don't think
I-
that's as necessary?
I don't think that,
So like the pass-through.
So are you saying that the driveway that they're going to be putting in, there would be a chain during the day?
Well, we were saying that, oh, well, so people don't just use the other lot.
Good point, but
You know,
I think.
because now we're just
that's
creating
a lot of chains, guys.
So, well, it is moving a lot of stuff around, I know.
That seems like a very difficult task
So-
to ask them to do every single day. To
Okay.
be like, oh, you have to go chain this one, unchain this one, and go chain that one every single evening. Seems like an awful lot.
Which then, I think if we were to move it to say that the Kenyon lot on Narragansett Ave West, and then the Matunic lot, both have, one has a gate, one has a chain. The gate can open every day, but the chain's pretty much there. Would that be right? No. Okay, well,
I think
we'll figure it out.
I think the access between the Kenyon and the Matunic lot, if the owners of the Kenyon lot and Matunic think that cones need to go there, I think that's substantial enough because it's two parking lots and it's valet.
It doesn't need to be chained. per
Yeah,
se.
it doesn't need to be chained.
Okay, but it is a matter of sort of trying our best to make sure the Narragansett Ave West stays residential and it's not
Yeah,
a
we
main
just don't want a
thoroughfare.
bunch of traffic on the road.
Okay, so you're not, it's not necessarily minding that during the day that there are deliveries and so forth, and there's just regular occurrence of things.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
just-
making sure that at night especially, that we're trying to control a bit more of the lights and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, does this help? So, without the cut-through between the two parking lots, if the Matunic parking lot was full and cars came along, people with reservations, whatever, the valets would then drive out to West Narragansett, make the turn into the Kenyon parking lot to park. But with the cut-through, they shouldn't have to go out onto West Narragansett at all. They should just, when the Matunic lot's filled, they should just use the cut-through.
Right.
So for that reason, I would suggest leaving the chain where it is, near the, whatever it is, Kentucky Fried Chicken or something that's down there, because you still want the people from the office building to be able to come and go. I mean, they may have a night meeting, you know, somebody's an attorney, they may have a client who can only meet at night, and you don't want to chain off the West Narragansett because the restaurant parking shouldn't need to use that.
Well, the worry now would be that Matunic's not going to be using that while the dental and whatever other buildings are in that office. They'll only be using that after those offices closed. If an employee at one of those was there later, then obviously the chain could stay off while they're there. And then it could be put up later if it needs to be. The worry is that right now they're saying it's going to be valet, but what happens in the future if they no longer use that parking lot as valet and that's just regular people coming in and parking, and then all of those people pull out onto Narragansett Ave when they leave?
So I think the board had discussed a condition of the Kenyon lot would only be allowed to be used for parking in connection with Matunic Market if that parking is valet only. That's a potential solution to that issue, again, with appropriate signage.
Does that make sense? All right, so I think it's just a matter of considering, you know, how egress happens out to the Narragansett Ave, and if it is an inconvenience for those in that office, if they needed to drive out to Tower Hill Road, is basically what we're saying. Is that,
With the chain, they can't get through to town.
well, no, you take the middle chain out, and you only put a chain on the Narragansett Ave side. That's it. So they can get out on Tower Hill Road. And everybody can get out on Tower Hill Road.
Does that violate any original agreement?
No, well,
That has the chain there?
we'd be redoing the special use
Okay.
for that site and how it's being used. I mean, because we can put new conditions on it in terms of shrubs and things like that as well. Because they're asking us to amend that special use.
Whose job is it to move all these chains? Because I'm concerned
It's
that
the-
they
it's the-
won't get.
It's always the,
Up and
when
down.
the board imposes conditions of approval, it's always the applicant's responsibility to comply with those conditions of approval. And if not, that can result in enforcement activity.
Does that help? Yeah, no problem. You're welcome. Did you want to come up? Yep. So again, spell your name.
Alan Toll, Towle.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
So help me God.
All right, Mr. Tully, go ahead.
I'm a resident of 73 Narragansett Avenue West. I'm a third generation on that piece of property, and I moved in 1972. So this is all very knowledgeable stuff for me. Originally, that was a barrier. There was a chain link fence there, and it wasn't supposed to be taken down in the first place, but it was taken down. And we knew that he's a good guy. We know him, and he'd get to it. He was building and constructing, and he was doing a great job. And the restaurant's very good. I think you should all go there and give him your money. But we very much would like to see a gate in there, and if he wants to put the cut through, if whatever you guys decide, but if that could be closed off, that would be the best scenario, because we're not taking into account the fact that people can drive up, use the parking lot themselves, and walk into the restaurant.
Right, and that's why I think well, and theoretically, people can park at KFC.
Right.
As well.
And they're welcome to.
Right.
I don't care.
But I think what we're trying to do is to prevent people from driving on Narragansett Ave West, right?
Right, and I've got I've got dozens and dozens of pictures of all variety of infractions, but, you put a sign up, see if I can get the verbiage, but essentially it's okay to park in Narragansett Ave and offload. I don't want to be scrolling my phone up here while I'm trying to.
And was that, you're
have a
saying that was something
conversation.
that was put up?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it was okay to offload while there, but we've had multiple instances of trucks blocking our driveways,
Yep.
which I think is generally pretty unacceptable.
Yep.
You
Agreed.
don't want to be locked in.
Nope.
And he's been a great guy, and we hope he's a great neighbor. We want to be good neighbors to him.
Sure.
Originally, that was a barrier, and we acquiesced to that, realizing that it was a difficult piece of property to work with.
Right.
And it could very well be the reason why Feet First went under, because you couldn't drive through there. And he's doing a fantastic job with it. He really is. But we're mostly concerned, as I said, I've been there since 1972. I'm concerned with what comes after him.
Right.
And what comes after him, we need a barrier.
Right. So do you like what we were saying before about potentially a chain across the Kenyon?
I don't see how the other chains, the chain in between the two and the chain at KFC, would be relevant if you put a barrier on Narragansett Ave.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Take out the other ones and just put everything on Narragansett Ave.
And I think there was something in the ordinance of 2023 that said it shouldn't be in there, but again, I could be wrong about that.
Shouldn't be, well, we could.
The pass-through.
Yeah, I don't recall that not being permitted.
Right.
I mean, because it would have come up last time when we
Well,
approved it.
I'm getting into the weeds on that one.
Yeah, sure. No, well, I think we want to do whatever we can tonight to make sure
Yeah.
that we're putting on the necessary, at least to enable you guys to have them hold to a certain expectation of.
Right, and like I say, I've got dozens and dozens of pictures of infractions. There's no parking lot signs all the way down the road.
There are, okay.
And I've got pictures of cars next to no parking signs. And whatever we do tonight could take a lot of grief out of everybody's life if we do it right.
So what, is there anything we didn't, that you would want that we didn't talk about?
Well, a long time ago, there should have been a gate in there, and there's still not a gate in there. There's a plastic that I could break with my hands.
Well, we'll talk about that with them.
Well, I'm not going to break your chain. But, I mean, it's very flimsy.
Yeah, well, I think just know as neighbors that everything we're deciding on tonight is enforceable by the zoning enforcement officer, which is Mr. Gorman right there. So you could always call the town and say that, the gate isn't up or the chain isn't in or whatever what's decided on tonight. And then certainly with any of the vehicles that are parked there improperly, that's more of a law enforcement thing than it is for the zoning enforcement officer. But, I think as we know, Mr. Perry has always tried to do his best to accommodate, both of his locations.
Right.
And I know it's tough because he's very successful, so he's pushing it because the capacity is the issue, right?
Yeah, but we also don't want to be just told to our face yes, and then
Yeah, it's not fair.
the answer is actually no.
That's not fair. No, I
Yeah.
agree.
So that's the goal.
Okay.
And, anything that blocks us from the town, that neighborhood is a beautiful little bubble,
Yeah, it really is.
and it could easily be destroyed.
Yeah, no, you
And,
guys.
being a local, being here, I remember when that throughway went to Route 1 when I was a kid.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it went all the way across Route 1. But that's back before Route 4 was there, and I literally walked to school across Route 1. So that's how slow it was. That tells you, life changes.
Yeah, it certainly
And we'd
does.
like to change with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
Well, let's see what we can do tonight, and hopefully we can get this stuff done.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hang on a sec. Mr. Tully, is there any questions? Mr. Daniels?
Just quickly, you indicated that cars are parking on Narragansett Avenue West, even though there's no parking signs there.
Yes, sir.
Have you reported it?
We have reported it to the owner.
Well, why wouldn't you report it to the South Kingstown Police Department?
Well, that puts the onus on us to have uncomfortable, then we're constantly interacting with the police department, and then you get to be a bit of a nag, and then you get to be known as, oh, here he comes again, this guy.
Okay, the second question is, how do you know those cars are associated with his establishment? You're making an assumption, or?
No, I'm not. I'm actually talking to the drivers. And
So it sounds to me
I
like it's
stopped
not a
by
big deal.
and-
If you haven't reported it, and you don't want to make enemies with the neighbor, sounds to me like it's a wash, right?
So it's my fault.
Pardon?
But why doesn't the town go up there and enforce its own laws?
Because someone has to complain. They're not going to go up there and walk around and enforce their laws. If someone complains, they have to respond.
Golly, I thought that's what I was doing.
To us, you have to complain to the South Kingstown Police Department for them to go up there and enforce the regulations, issue tickets, or whatever they're going to do. It's not up to us to do that.
I appreciate that, but that's why I'm here talking about the barriers. Right? So I'm here so that I don't have to have an altercation with everyone that's breaking the law. It's not my job to be a police officer, and I shouldn't have to intercede every time somebody has a parking ticket or valet. I shouldn't police my neighborhood. The police should do it.
Agreed.
Ms. Hicks?
Yeah, did anyone park there prior to the restaurant opening? Or is this parking where it says no parking something that's only happening after the restaurant opened?
Well, nobody parked there prior to the restaurant opening, but it was an empty lot. A lot of, they were having a lot of problems with drug deals in that parking lot at the time. But they obviously had no gate, so they could park there and come and go as they pleased, which I did tell the police department, and they set up a sting operation in the neighbor's house down the road and all sorts of things. So it's been an ongoing issue, and hopefully we're getting it resolved. I have a very positive outlook on it.
Okay. Anyone else for Mr. Tolley? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And, the board can also
You're all set.
require the Kenyon lot tenants, well, really the owner, but you can require signage. For example, I don't know if there's any allocated parking or signage, like KFC parking only, whatever. You can require additional signage to do as much as you can to discourage people from, no parking for, the address, right, of Matunic Market. Now, the valet drivers will know that doesn't apply to them.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Ms. Noonan. Oh, turn it on. I think you turned it off.
Thank you. The first is to talk about the conditions on the Matunic special use permit, if we might. And you're right, we have gates, chains, solid fences, we have all sorts of things. So Perry just wants to address the issue of the gate, which was partially installed, and just address what happened over this winter.
Just state and spell your name, please.
Perry Rasso, Perryraso.
Would you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the
I
truth?
do.
Excellent. So go ahead, Mr. Russo.
The idea behind the fence that was there that we removed, I removed it because I was trying to, make the property look better, and there was all sorts of garbage. It was collecting garbage, and it didn't. So that's why I removed that original chain link fence. And the fence that I put in was a wrought iron fence, and I agreed. I thought my plan was to put a gate in there with the goal of preventing traffic onto Narragansett Ave. When the two pieces of the gate or the fence, that you see there now was installed, it was it was in the winter, and with all the snow we had, I realized that putting a gate in there is going to, I envision this kind of rolling gate or sliding gate or something that would make it, the snow is going to make it very difficult. The winter conditions are going to make it difficult for that to operate. I used cones, I used chains, and I, use signage, and it's my understanding that I've prevented the flow of traffic onto Narragansett Ave, and that is from what I've seen and the people who I have spoke with, who were concerned about that, who were concerned about that at the previous meeting. I felt I have eliminated that issue. Mr. Towell did alert me of delivery vehicles being on the road. I don't recall ever being alerted that there's customers or guests parking on the road. But we did have a conversation about delivery vehicles on the road, as well as I did with Kenny's about delivery vehicles not making a sharp enough turn and coming up on their grass, which is something that I'm also trying to deal with. So that's why I didn't just disregard the gate idea. I did that. The gate didn't go in because it was snow everywhere, and I realized if there was a gate there, it would be stuck open or it'd be stuck closed, and then the cones and chain proved to be effective. Albeit I have not been good enough about closing it exactly at 2. Most effective I've been at is leaving it closed all the time, and that's and only allowing delivery drivers to open it and close it, which is why that sign says for the delivery drivers to close it after they leave. This way it just stays closed. So that was the dilemma I had with gate versus chain issue. I will say there's a couple other things that I heard that you'd certainly be willing to do higher plantings, 6 to 8 feet instead of whatever was specified there. And I also got confirmation that from the property owner, the Kenyon property owner, Mr. Bell, one of the owners, said he would be fine with me doing plantings over in that side where we walked on the left side, which would, prevent, help with the view shed, as well as those trees that we're concerned aren't going to be touched. The chaining off of Narragansett Ave on the Kenyon lot side, there is a stretch lab office there, and sometimes takes later guests, and we would have to accommodate for them. So I don't, we would, just like our valets could be cruising out on Narragansett Ave, but they're not, they would do the same thing if we were allowed use into that other lot, whether there is a chain there or not. And I don't think those neighbors would be, I don't think putting a chain up in that area is a real option for that property owner.
Can I ask you, Perry, before you go, about the gate on your property? You obviously installed the wrought iron, and you had intended to do a sliding one. You're saying now that you're not sure if that'll be, if you can functionally do that in light of like the snow that just stayed around for 2 months or so this year. Do you need to look at separate things to do a gate versus a chain? Is that?
It's certainly doable. I'm explaining why I didn't do it yet. It's definitely going to make a winter like this winter. We'll have to figure it out. But if there's a gate there, but the gate I would picture now, versus the one I pictured, one that would slide into itself and then slide over and be kind of cool, push button, maybe a little, pad, or that would definitely be problematic. Something that was on a hinge would probably be more, is something I could imagine working there, albeit that's something that would be more visually maybe not as pleasing.
So are you saying that you're ready to put some type of gate there versus the chain, but you need to figure out what it's going to be and what can actually function?
I'm just thinking of what I could do right now. So I thought about the thing with the hinge that would have like a cement or steel with cement in it, and have this hinge and close. This way it wouldn't have to go on, wouldn't be rolling, and it wouldn't depend on the whole gate. So that would be something I would think of for a gate that would be effective, other than the cones, if that was what is desired.
And that would be something that matched the existing fence, or
I would
essentially
paint it black or something similar, yeah.
All right, can we just take a minute?
Yep.
Just 5 minutes.
Sure.
So, thank you. We couldn't keep going.
What?
We can't keep going if you leave.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you're fine.
He's representing one of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Want to find out if he wants to bail?
Okay. I think they're all, we'll be quick. Yeah, just a bit. Sure, you're fine. Nature calls. Okay, I think we're good. So I had a question relative. So if we say a chain and somebody puts in a gate, is that an upgrade?
If you say a chain is what has to be installed. If you want to give flexibility, why
Yes.
don't you say chain or gate?
Oh, wow. Is there a third option? I mean, like a pole?
Chain, gate, or,
Chain, gate, or other-
device of similar appearance / functionality. I don't know what
I mean,
else.
well, I mean, does cones?
I think cones are a little different.
Or temporary.
Because a chain and a gate kind of require something to be installed.
Semi-permanent? No?
I just think it helps me and any future building official if it's specific, so there's no
So it can be a
ambiguity.
chain or a gate, or
Yes.
something that can be locked and unlocked. How's
Yep.
that? Okay. And you're okay if we phrase it like that?
Depends where we're talking. So can we go back and review?
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Pull out a little bit on
Please.
this?
Yes.
Let me start with the easy ones first. The landscaping, as Perry said, he just checked with the owners of Kenyon Lot, and so the landscaping can be matched on the westerly side of the opening on the Kenyon Lot. So obviously, the dark line is the property limit, so we can really only landscape on our property or the Kenyon Lot. So we'll do it in sort of that bump out area around parking space 10 and wrap it a little bit like that. So hopefully that, and we'll, subject to the building official's review. So we're fine with that as a condition.
Like a 6 foot
6 foot.
evergreen?
Yeah, that'll grow, yeah, okay, 6 foot's good. Second, on the interconnection between the two, I think a chain would be appropriate for the non-valet hours, because otherwise you may have people driving back and forth. It's just, I think it's a good idea, and I don't see where it causes any problems. So, and a sign perhaps on the chains, like post and chain for the interconnection, Matunic Atelier valet parking only, so that's what it's for. Consistent with that would be a condition that the interconnection as proposed is only used with valet parking. That way, if Matunic Atelier goes to another restaurant, maybe they could use valet parking. If the demand for the shoe market comes back, it wouldn't apply because you're not going to have valet parking. So I think that condition takes care of the interconnection. The gate that Perry mentioned on his property, I think he needs to figure out what that is. I was out there in the winter and everything was frozen in place. So if it's exploring what kind of hinged gate or something like that to match and look consistent along his property line, that condition stands the same. We understand what a gate is now. It's not a
Well,
chain.
yeah, but are you fine with it being, like, do you think more flexibility would be knowing that our environment is weird?
Yeah, I think the flexibility would be helpful. I mean, not necessarily a plastic chain, it can be something a little more, but making sure, like I said, literally, I know what he was thinking of. It was the rolling gate, but
Yeah.
when that stuff froze solid, and
Right.
it couldn't happen. So the idea is to restrict access onto Narragansett Avenue West, and so if it's a gate or a chain,
Okay.
that works the best. I understand the concern with the parking on the street, if we need to revamp the signage to make it clear that trucks come in for the deliveries and that there's no parking on the street. So if that's a tweak of the signage, we can do that on the Matunic.
Where would that signage be?
I think you have it on the chain now? Is it chain or on the post? Oh. So it needs to be displayed, whether it needs to be attached to the post or something so it's more visible. I think it might be a little low on sight line, so it should be a little more visible. And also, I think as the vendors become more regular and consistent, they'll understand it and better rhythm, because I know Perry has been dealing with getting the different vendors in at
I
different
mean,
times.
understandably, yes, there could be some backup, there could be someone waiting for another to pull out, I get
Right.
that.
But there's not a truck restriction on Narragansett Avenue West, at least the box trucks. And so our goal is really to minimize that traffic and to get the deliveries so that there is no backup. So that's a combination of signage, gating, and communication to the truck drivers. So on that.
So no gate on the Kenyon to Narragansett West?
Correct.
And keep the chain in between the upper and lower?
Right, and Bob Clinton he heard about that, and he's like, no, if you want to add to it, because the idea is really, from 6 PM on, we figure it's going to be the Matunic valet parking, right?
Right.
But that doesn't preclude, as you said, there's a stretch lab, you can pay people to go and stretch you now, I guess that's what they do there. And the law office too, I mean, people work past 6 o'clock. But if you leave it open, then you can have people coming from KFC, coming up the hill and going out, and that would cause well, I'll let Bob do that.
Yeah, that's going to be, I think, once again, for the record, Robert Clinton, VHB Engineering, I think the intent of putting the chain, the upper and lower, between the KFC and the offices in the back, after hours, I don't think they want people going through the drive-through or KFC and then going in that back lot and hanging out in that back lot either. So I think that's the intent of it's not just, and it also prevents them from coming out and accessing the back. So
Right.
I think it's more of a security thing than anything else.
And you want to keep those KFC people separated from the Matunic people?
No, you don't want them just hanging out in that back lot. That's not going to end up well.
No good will happen from that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
But for that one, I think let's keep the condition on the Kenyon lot as is, although there's 4 of them, those should stay. And then the addition really on that one is the landscaping as a condition, and the interconnection approval, I think, are the 2 key things. And then I think on our side, again, the same conditions as we had before, obviously with the expansion of the restaurant to the 73 additional seats. And like I said, we can work on the landscaping, subject to the building and zoning officials' approval, and the signage too. Like I said, Perry, we can work on that and clear up our signage. So I think that covers everything.
Okay. So the 3 changes, not changes, but the 3 things we're talking about is shrubs, and then keep the chain between the valet, non-valet, put a sign on that, perhaps that says hours on it. And then, do you want to say a gate or chain for the Matunic back lot?
If that flexibility could work, like I said, I think,
I mean, we're
Perry-
here, it's something that can
Yeah.
happen if it, because even if, let's say you do put in the gate and it freezes,
Right.
and you need to put something across it, at least it's okay to put a chain there.
Exactly. If we get, again, it was really adverse this winter where that snow didn't melt for 2 months. So I think the flexibility would be helpful to keep things operating.
Okay, great. Any more questions for Ms. Noonan? Yeah, Ms.
Something like removable barrier. Something like removable barrier, rather than saying gate, chain, fence, I don't know. Just
Yeah,
to
well,
make
it
it
sounds
more
like those would be
generic.
the 2 options that they would do, is either a gate or a chain. I mean, it doesn't sound like we came up with any other. Oh,
That's a gate. That's a gate of some
That is a
type.
gate,
That is
yeah.
a gate, Perry.
articulated, yes, okay. Anything else you wanted to add?
No, thank you. I know this is, I commend the neighborhood. I wish I lived in a neighborhood that was so together and unified as they are. It is a unique place. I think Matunic is better than having drug deals in a parking lot. The Matunic at Tail House, that's an improvement. Thank you, good. We find common ground on that. And you've seen at the Matunic Oyster Bar, working with the neighbors has always been one of Perry's key things to do. So I think with these improvements, again, the valet is really meant to, again, make sure that the interconnection is to make sure that the parking works on Old Tower Hill Road, keep the cars off of Narragansett Avenue West. Maybe that first weekend was a little messy with, how the valets handled it. And then with the signage and the gate on Matunic, we'll get the truck traffic in line.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak on behalf of this petition, for or against?
Good evening.
Good evening, just
My name's Harold Thomas, HAROLD-THOMAS.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the
I
truth?
do.
Excellent. Go ahead,
Just to
Mr.
give you a
Thomas.
different perspective, I've lived in South Kingston 60 years. Own a house on Albro Lane in the SMD. I own a house on 80 Narragansett Avenue West. That was a family that my son lives in. And I own 171 Old Tower Hill, abuts Perry's facility. Perry's done a remarkable job My son lives on 80 Narragansett Avenue West now, and he's not getting any noise. He's not having any light issues. He's going to have a delivery issue on Old Tower Hill Road because the state in their infinite wisdom decided to let's slow the traffic down Old Tower Hill Road. So let's put medians in the middle of the road. They've done it. We've had nothing but problems with fire apparatuses. I get Coke deliveries, Pepsi deliveries. I own a gas station. It's always an issue with those berms. He is on the commercial highway use. My property, my residential's commercial highway. He can use it for that. Having a commercial vehicle, you can park anywhere with your four-way flashers on. Parking in front of somebody's driveway is unacceptable. Miss Kenny, I agree with her. I would not want to see 30 cars, 40 cars. I mean, that place is jamming now. I wouldn't want to see the headlights all night. So the buffer is a hell of a great idea. Putting a fence on that wouldn't be fair to Jew, just started a stretching business. People work, they go at night. So I wouldn't do anything there. The fence that was originally there when Kenny Richmond owned the property, it was always been a problem with egress to Narragansett Avenue. I always break that vow. I cut through MacArthur. I lived on Pershing. I mean, I'm entrusted into that area. It is a cut through all the way to the other side of town. Beautiful neighborhood. I think I can't see you guys not letting him use the intended use of his property as commercial highway for deliveries. But I'm not aware of any no parking signs. I'm not saying there isn't, but I will go look tomorrow. But if there aren't no parking signs there should be no parking signs except for deliveries. And I think commercial highway only runs up to my property, which is 80 Narragansett Avenue West. I know the planning zoning board was thinking of making that whole area on that whole pie all the way up to Route 1 commercial highway, but I wouldn't be in the best interest of that neighborhood. It is a beautiful neighborhood. I think Perry's being very proactive. He comes over constantly, asking me if I have any problems. Is anybody giving you a hard time? I mean, he will make it right. I would like you guys to approve it. I know he's working with Mr. Bell. He's another long-term resident of South Kingston. And they did do major improvements in a lot of the land. Matter of fact, they had a tree come down during one of the storms, so it was an older tree. So I know they will make it look better there. I think everybody should work together and make this approved. He has brought life back to Old Tower Hill Road. That building was abandoned for over 10 years, and he's done a beautiful job with it. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hang on one sec. Any questions for Mr. DeHamas? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Want to turn off the microphone? No. Thank you. All right. So, board members, any thoughts on this petition? I know we've heard quite a bit about it, but...
I'll start. I'll kick it off.
Mr. McDonough, go for it.
I mean, when I look at everything that's been submitted, you know, it's very well done, thought out very well. And I really want to applaud the applicant in working with the neighbors tonight, because as things came up, I think from where we started like 2 hours ago to where we are today, there's a lot of good things that we'll add as conditions, I'm sure, that have already been discussed and agreed to by the applicant. And then when I look at what the key elements are for the special use permit, you know, it's not going to alter the general characteristic of what's happening. I think the interconnecting the lots is going to make the flow, and we've heard from the expert, the traffic flow, it's going to be safer. I think it's going to be a better process within both of those lots. Increased parking, they're going to well exceed what is needed, what is required from the 4-to-1, even though they're adding 73 seats. And I do think from a safety perspective, I think not having the market there and having the restaurant will increase the safety of that entire complex. Because if you have a market, you know, I could be trying to come in to buy some shrimp, and then in the meantime you have the valet people coming in. I just think that the overall proposal will make the overall place much safer. We haven't heard anything about any additional noise, lighting, glare, or anything that will be a result of adding on the additional seating. No changes to the bar, so we're not worried about that. Trash, I know the chairman brought up trash, storage and all that. It's going to remain the same, or we've been reported it's going to remain the same. What else do I have here? The screening, absolutely, we went from smaller trees to bigger trees to many more trees. So I think from what I'm hearing is the applicant will do what is needed to make sure the neighbors can live in harmony with it's a commercial area over there. Unfortunately, it's not a huge green open space. So I think what is being proposed, I think will definitely remediate a lot of those issues. The screening we've talked about. I think the valet parking, keeping that as a condition as far as, with those the additional parking. My first impression when I saw this, I'm like, yeah, we need a gate on Narragansett Avenue or something to bifurcate that from the rest of it. The other internal ones, a little chain for me would be fine to really separate what is needed versus mechanical gates and all that. So if the condition is going to be gate or chain, I think that would be acceptable. But in general, that's my feelings.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. That was, anyone else want to speak on behalf of this petition? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree 100% with Mr. McDonald's analysis of the testimony and the presentation. And I would agree that a condition of a gate or chain would be acceptable. I understand the situation with a gate could be problematic, as the applicant has pointed out during a snowstorm. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the other, I believe, 2 conditions, with the landscaping and the chain and gate. So I'm good.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Anyone else? I agree. No, I think everybody covered it really well. So is there someone that wants to make a motion, perhaps, or not?
You have the conditions. So.
All right. So I'll make a motion to approve the petition of the Matunic Market LLC, where the applicant was seeking to amend a previous special use permit, expanding the dining area of the restaurant with alcohol to by 73 seats. And then also they were asking for additional special use permit for the adjacent lot on 133 Old Tower Hill Road to allow access between the 2 lots. We heard from the attorney for this. Sorry, I don't have our special use. Ms. Noonan, who presented to us the, how dare you, the testimony relative to the applicant, which was all the information relative to the site plan, which had not only the location of the egress between the 2 properties, but also noted where they would use chain and where they would use a gate and so forth. They also submitted a plan for the plantings. We also heard from Mr. Principe from the Principe Company that talked about such a plan, and also heard from Mr. Clinton from VHB talking about the traffic engineering and how they came up with this plan relative to the movement between the 2 properties. They try to control the egress so it isn't a main thoroughfare, but used explicitly for valet overflow. We also heard from a number of neighbors that had both praise for the applicant in how they're operating the restaurant, with some concerns about how it started out and knowing that it was a little rough starting out, but then said that there was a lot of dialogue that happened between Mr. Rasso and the property owners, tried to address everything from idling vehicles sitting on Narragansett Ave West, as well as some folks in valets kind of using the street when they really weren't permitted to it. But it sounds like that the egress at least has been resolved in terms of making sure that it's going to be used during the hours that were identified. So as I said, in opposition, really, the opposition was about screening and making sure when that adjacent parking lot is being used that the headlights aren't necessarily shining across the street, and then also making sure that that egress is restricted during certain hours of the day for certain types of uses. So we do find that this special use is specifically authorized by our ordinance, and it is a permitted use as a restaurant or that they did receive a special use for that, but they certainly can have both the parking as well as the alcohol and restaurant. So we do find that the special use does meet all the criteria set forth in the subsection of this ordinance authorizing such special use. And they made several accommodations for the fact that they were going to be using this property for the restaurant and the more seating for the restaurant. So we felt that they did meet all the criteria that we have for it. And that granting this special use, that it will not change the character of the surrounding area, or change the intent or purpose of our ordinance in the comprehensive plan. We've considered whether there were satisfactory provisions and arrangements that were made. So ingress and egress. So first is that ingress that is being proposed between the two lots. It's only going to be about 17 and a half feet wide. And it's only going to be used when valet is necessary. This is not going to be used for general parking for the restaurant itself. So as the restaurant and valet intensifies and all the parking is taken, they would then overflow into that lot. There will be, we will be requesting that a chain be put in. It is marked on the plan as proposed new posts and chain. We do request that there is a chain on there that says, or a sign on there that it is for valet purposes only, and saying that the hours for it would be 6 a.m. To 5 p.m., right? So okay, so it's closed from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m.? So the sign would say, so after that 5 o'clock, so 5:30 to closing, basically, that sign would say. And then the back gate for the Matunic property, which is the lot 51, from the Matunic property, it does say existing fence and gate. I will amend that to say fence and gate or chain, so they can actually have a chain there as well. And that would be the only changes to the egress. And that off-street parking loading areas aren't going to change. So as I said, that we want to make sure that chain or gate that is on the Matunic side, that there is clear signage to say the hours of deliveries and when that gate will be open and closed. Trash storage and delivery areas aren't changing at all with the additional seats. Screening and buffering. So on the plan right now, on the right side of the egress onto the Kenyon property, which is lot 52, they have on the plan on the right side a series of evergreens, a mix of new evergreens. It does say on the plan 3 to 4 foot height. We suggest instead of 3 to 4 feet, it would be 6 to 8 feet on the right side, as well on the left side. I would say if we're going to create a somewhat of a line, it would be going to at least the edge of the front side of the parking lot, if that makes sense. So where the bumper against the grass would be, basically, it can line up with that there. Signs, if any, and exterior lighting with reference to glare, traffic safety, and compatibility, harmony with lot sizes and zoning districts. There's no changes in the signs or anything else. Required yards and other open space, that's not a condition of this. And it does have general compatibility with the lots in the same or abutting zoning districts. So this is a commercial highway district on the side of these lots. The opposite side, which we're trying to protect a bit, is the Narragansett Ave West, which is a residential neighborhood. So we're trying to pay attention to make sure that there isn't a lot of movement at night, or there isn't any movement at night out of those gates. So as I said, there are the 3 conditions, which are the shrubs on the left and right of the driveway, the chain in between the 2 properties with the sign on it, and then the gate or chain from the back of the Matunic property. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. McDonald. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, can
Yes.
I suggest an amendment that
Please.
the shrubbery and landscaping plan be subject to the approval of the building official?
Yes, I will amend my motion to have the approval by the building inspector. Could I get a second on that?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Any other discussion? Okay. Hearing none, Mr. Ilya?
Aye.
Ms. Hicks?
Aye?
Mr. Daniels? Aye. Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Good luck. Thank you. Anybody need a break?
I just need to speak with Amy for 1 second.
Yeah, just give us a minute, folks. Sorry about that. Okay, next we're going to hear the petition of Mr. Driscoll, Daniel Driscoll, and the applicant is seeking to construct a 1,040 square foot accessory dwelling unit attached to the principal dwelling. The lot size is 19,782 square feet. The lot area of 20,000 is required to establish an ADU. Therefore, a relief of 218 square feet is requested. The ADU will be located 8.6 feet from the south side property line. Required yard setback is 10 feet. Therefore, a 1 foot 6 foot relief is required. Dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 401, schedule of dimensional regulations, and section 907 are standards of relief. The applicant has previously received the dimensional variance from the requested relief, however, failed to obtain a building permit prior to the variance expiration. So the property is owned by Daniel J. Driscoll for the premises located at 312 Woodruff, South Kingstown, Assessor's Map 57-4, Lot 41, and is zoned R10. Good evening. Yep, turn that on, red light. There you go.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. You very eloquently articulated why we're here tonight. Under section 910, I believe your ordinance, applicants have to file a building permit within 1 year of the approval. Unfortunately, due to some personal issues, my client did not do that. So we are here tonight going through the process again, asking for the exact same approval as we were previously granted. If you'll permit me, Mr. Chairman, just for the sake of establishing a record, I will put into evidence the prior approval as well as the minutes from the prior meeting that outline some of the details of the application.
Sure. Thank you.
And if the board has an appetite for an expedited review, you can certainly ask council, basically, has anything changed?
Yes.
And of course, see if there's anyone here from the public.
Okay.
So what you have in front of you are the actual recorded approval as well as the minutes. I think by putting those into the record, we essentially establish the evidence previously and document that the same evidence is put forth here today and that there are no changes to the application from the approval that was previously granted.
Okay, great. So we heard it once. You're only a few feet away from the property line, literally a fractions of away from the 20,000 square foot.
Correct.
So really, it sounds like that we didn't have trouble with it before. Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward.
And I will note, Mr. Green, who owns the property immediately that has the immediately close to the proposed garage, was actually here. Unfortunately, he had to leave, but he was here to voice support. And actually, it works out because previously we said that he supported us and he was unable to come. So it is a very, very similar fact pattern.
All right. Okay, and so right now, all right, I'm trying to get my bearings here.
Quickly, the drawing.
Yeah, go ahead.
The drawing for the ADU is exactly the same as the architectural plans for it.
Exactly the same, and we didn't even change a submission date because I wanted to keep them their degree of continuity before the board.
I'm sorry, Mr. Counsel, could you just say your name again?
Stephen Surdut, S-U-R-D-U-T, with offices at 10 High Street here in Wakefield, Rhode Island.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. It has nothing to do with you. My brain doesn't remember anything for like 10 minutes.
I apologize, too, if I didn't say it on the record. We always try to establish that.
Okay, so this is as close as the addition is getting to the sideline. You don't need anything for stairs or anything like that? No. Okay.
I'm ready to move forward if the board is, especially considering what your counsel said today. And I would happily, if anyone from the public has comments or concerns, would be happy to address them.
Okay. Board members, do you have any questions for the applicant? No? Okay. Do you want to add anything else, or we'll see anybody else?
Always a pleasure to be before the board, and I thank you all for being volunteers and spending your time and evenings doing this for free. I get the benefit of doing it as a job, but you guys are here for free, so thank you.
I think I get $40 for the night, so I get the most. I think these guys get 20, so, you know, it's because I work hard.
You run a good meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you. All right, well, let's see if anybody out there wants to speak on behalf. Is there anyone out there that wants to speak on behalf of this petition, for or against? No? Okay, thank you. I mean, it seems really reasonable. It's something that we certainly approved before. And if the neighbor is here, we'll take his word for it that the neighbor was in support of it, but I would assume they would have found a reason to stay or would have written a letter to say that they were opposed to it. But it just seems really straightforward. So, nobody has anything to say about it? Okay. Yeah, I know. Okay, can we just say ditto? No.
I think for purposes of the motion, you could, if the board wants to, you can say, motion to approve based on our, based on our prior decision, finding everything remains the same, board is relying on, and basically you're readopting the prior decision, readopting the findings that you made a year ago.
So, and this is the Wednesday, November 20th, 2024?
Yeah, a little over a year ago, then a year and a half.
Yep. Okay. Do you want to do it? You want me to do it?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I mean, I was going to do a full.
Yeah, well, you can. I don't want to take that away from you.
No. What's easier?
Just as easy to.
What we would do is basically that shorter motion, and then we would reproduce the findings. So they would get a new decision with all the findings, or you can make it anew. It's up to you. Okay, how about...
All right, I'd like to make a motion to reapprove the original motion that was approved on November 27th, 2024 from Mr. Daniel J. Driscoll for application ZBR-26-7 to reapprove this as the application was, I think the timeliness of it had expired, and the applicant desires to continue the project. So in lieu of going through everything again, we'll just reapprove the original decision. And readopt the findings. Thank you.
Motion was made by Mr. Elia. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Hicks. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Elia? Aye. Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too. I did that approval opposite. I apologize. I did you first, and I took away your thunder in so many ways already. So the next petition is Levon Kasparian. For the applicant is seeking to construct a two-story addition to the dwelling. The addition will be located 25.9 feet from the east side of the property line. The required yard setback is 36.1 feet. Therefore, a relief of 10.2 feet is requested. Lot size is 1.7 acres. A dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 205. The single non-conforming recorded lots, and section 907 are standards of relief. Owner of the property is Levon Kasparian for premises located at 29 Peckham Avenue, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 57-2, Lot 38, and is zoned R30. Come on up. Please state and spell your name, please.
Levon Kasparian, Levon, last name Kasparian.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So what would you like to do? What's going on?
Proposing an addition to an existing house. Can I use a pointer, by the way, or against, or is that? Okay. Okay, the site plan. So the hashed area is the addition. The connector, which is only one story at that portion exactly, and then going south, the bottom leg of the L, the fat part, is the garage. So it's a one-story garage with a two-story, one-story connector with a two-story garage. And the existing house is a two-story gambrel type roof, And initially, the design was one story all the way, but frankly, I'll use the word ugly, it looked like an elementary school. So we made it 2 stories on the garage and copied architecturally the design of the existing house, which is Gambrel. So I bought this house April of 2024, and at that time, first of all, my lot is 72,000 square feet in an R80, so it's non-conforming, and at that time I was told that you would drop down to the next level, which would be R40 with a setback of 20, so I started the design, and the state changed the law last year. It seems like they keep changing the law every couple of years or every year. So they moved the setback laws now where if you have a non-conforming lot, it's prorated. So my 72,000 square feet versus the 80,000, which is what it's zoned for, would be 0.9. And the setback is 40 feet for an R80 on the side, and so it calculates to 36 feet. So I had to move the garage closer to the house to the 36 feet, but it didn't work because the first bay on the garage, which is closest to the connector, you couldn't pull a car out. It came to basically the length of a car, so you wouldn't be able to pull out and leave the property. So hence, I tried to move it from the 20 feet as close as I could, and this is the closest it could get to the house. And I tried also to relocate the garage to the north side, which is that part right there. But my septic system is right there, and there's a pipes going to my leaching field. And then I tried on this side also, and the problem there is that's a nice little stone raised patio. And if I put the garage there, somebody would kind of leave the garage and go right into my master bedroom, which I don't think would work out. So, and I can't go more south because you can see the gradient lines. It gets pretty steep there. So I was kind of like, buttoned into like this one area with the garage.
And so really, you're asking for relief on that edge of the garage, essentially.
Right, and the neighbor on that side is, his name is Brian Steele, and so when you look at the radius map, the neighbor on that side, his name is Brian Steele, which is, let me see now, that property right there. So with the addition at the requested, so my house, so you can kind of see it's very faint. My house is right there,
Yep.
and the addition's going in that direction. And he owns this property here.
Okay.
So with the addition, if you approve the variance, there'll be 125 feet between my house and his house. So what I did is I proactively showed him all the drawings and put stakes down with lines, and I walked the whole property with him and basically said, this is where the regulations say, and this is kind of where it would be. And he looked at it and he had no problem with it. In fact, he wrote a letter supporting it. I also have a couple other letters here from 2 neighbors. One, to my pleasant surprise, showed up tonight. Margaret, thank you. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the last name, but she's been living in her house for 70 years. That doesn't happen too often. And 72.
Don't cheat her those 2 years, man.
So I didn't proactively go to her. I was actually working outside, and she walked onto my property, and because she got the letter and asked what I was trying to do, so I walked her through it too.
Excellent.
And she was very supportive of it also. And basically, my property is a weird stop sign property. It's kind of landlocked, if you will, to Peckham Avenue. So there's an easement coming in right there. And this house, my house, and the one I just referred to before, we share that driveway coming in. And those 2 houses are approximately 6 years old. They're $1 million houses. And mine, these 2 houses here, this one and this one. And am I right? No, I'm sorry, this one and this one. And this one's mine here. So the driveway goes into mine, into his, and back here. So it's kind of like an enclave of 3 houses. And I'm using their words now. The 2 owners of the houses were looking at mine, and it was kind of an eyesore because it's been neglected for so many years, not to the fault of the previous owner. I think she was an elderly woman, and just didn't have the capacity to upkeep. So they've been very supportive of what we've done thus far, and I believe, and they agree, that with this addition, it brings my house more to consistency of kind of our 3 houses. So that's the proposal.
Okay. No, it sounds, I mean, it's very well thought. I really appreciate it. It's, because you're really hitting all the marks when we're trying to determine sort of the best placement and how to do the least relief necessary, right? I think the only thing that I would just ask is, now, how do you get into your garage? Like, would you be able to drive in? Well, it's a garage.
Yeah.
So how is the, how is the driveway going to reach?
Yeah, currently it's a very unusual lot because the current driveway, if you want to call it a driveway, just drives right into the backyard.
Right.
And it's just, the only way you can enter is like through a kitchen.
Okay.
So the new plan would be, I don't know if you can put the site survey up, but the new plan would be to swing around the house and, let me just see.
Adjacent to Mr. Steele's property, basically?
The other way, actually. So basically, coming into this is my driveway coming in. So you would come in and go around this way.
Around that way? Oh,
Yeah.
I guess, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And then is it a 2-car, 3-car?
It's a 3-car garage.
It's a 3-car garage?
Yeah. And frankly, just the whole premise of this project, I'm 2 years away from 70 years old. And with the average male life expectancy in Rhode Island is just 78.5 years. I got 10 years to live. So my plan is to basically make life as comfortable on one floor as possible.
Okay.
And the reason why it's 3 cars, well, first of all, I have a truck and 2 cars, but more so, I'm getting tired of taking a chop saw from the basement and a table saw going up and down, so I'm planning for the future, trying to get everything on one level.
Sure.
So the back end of the garage will have like shelving and all my tools and all that too, so.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
And so, now tell me again, why couldn't you move it west? It just didn't make sense relative to the rest of your floor plan, or?
Meeting over here?
No, well, not the whole thing, but like just, I mean, because you're really only asking for almost essentially 4 feet, right? Why couldn't you move it 4 feet over to the west?
Well, the problem is I moved it as close to this part of the house.
Yep.
So the bay here, when the car is pulling out, is going to be able to pull out and turn.
Okay.
So that's the main issue. So I went as close as I could.
Oh, okay, so, because it's not so you're entering from the west side?
Yes, my new
Okay.
driveway, which is going to be gravel, impervious, pervious is going to go like this.
And it's going to face that, oh, okay, I'm
Right,
sorry.
so-
I thought you were, for some reason, entering from downhill.
Oh,
So-
no. And this bay is the problem. So if I moved everything this way, which I can't, I went as far as I could, it actually becomes a pretty steep hill if I go even another 3-4 feet. So,
And if you moved it that 5 feet to the west, you'd be eating up some of the usable space within the living area?
that's not really the concern. The concern more is the car here cannot pull out.
Oh, okay.
Cannot back out from here and turn and leave.
I got
That's
it.
the issue.
I got it. So that essentially the house is in the way of the turnaround.
Right.
Okay.
So I went as close to the house as I could.
Yep.
With the car comfortably. When I say comfortably, it's still kind of tight, but I asked for the relief as minimal as I had to.
And how deep is the garage right now? Like
It's approximately 30 feet deep.
30 feet deep?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about 6 more than typical because of my tools, that I don't want to go to the basement anymore.
Yeah,
But,
okay. All right. Board members, any thoughts? No? Okay. Do you want to add anything else to it?
No, I think I'm pretty much set. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you. Thank you. We'll find out if anyone wants to speak on behalf of this petition for or against. Yeah, please come on up. You've waited 72 years for this.
No, I've spoke before the town council before.
No, I'm kidding.
My name is Margaret Rankin in Pagliazzo.
And could you spell that for us, please?
IMPAGLIAZZO.
Excellent. You swear to tell us the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I live to the west of his property,
Okay,
and I have lived in my home for 72 years.
nice.
So I consider myself the matriarch of the neighborhood because no one in the neighborhood has lived there as long as I have.
Good for you.
I got the letter from the zoning commission, and I went over to Levon, and he showed me what he's doing to the property. Now, for years and years and years and years, we're talking 40 years, 50 years, that property has always reminded me of something out of Dark Shadows.
Oh, no.
Seriously.
Wow.
It was in very bad shape, and at one point, I thought that if something happened to Betty, who was the previous owner, she lived to be like 90-something, that the house would just get torn down because it was that bad. Levon has done a miraculous job. He's not anywhere near complete, but he's done a miraculous job fixing the outside where woodpeckers and all kinds of things that happen outside, and inside all of the woodwork and everything, and trying to modernize and bring the house back to what it was. It's a very wonderfully architecturally designed house, and it was the original homestead to all of the property that has since been sold. My house was at one point part of the orchard of this house. Okay, so he's done a wonderful job. Everything he's doing will enhance the neighborhood because now we don't have Dark Shadows in our midst. And I really admire what he's doing. It's a tremendous task to bring that house back to what it needs to be. But I think he's up to the task, what I've seen so far. And I'm really happy that I can look over now, and the brush is gone. The house looks like a house, and I don't think I'm in some kind of a awkward movie with somebody in the woods. So I hope you will grant him approval because I think it's the best solution to his issue. At one point, there was a carriage house where the driveway comes in towards the kitchen.
Okay.
It wasn't exactly a garage. I can remember playing in it when I was a kid. But it was rickety, and it wasn't built to be a garage. It had a dirt floor. It was more like a carriage house, and over the years, it fell by the wayside and, got hauled away. So he could put a house, but then you'd be, a separate garage, but then he'd be close to the property line on the other side.
Right.
So that wouldn't work either. So I think the solution that he's figured out is the best solution, and I just think it's going to add to the house. It's the same design as the house. The outside is shingle with white trim, and the garage will be the same. And he's eliminating, there was an old apartment where the college kids used to rent to the college kids, and that's going to be the mudroom going into the garage. So the old apartment is going to disappear. But he's doing a great job, and I hope you'll give him your approval so I can look at a beautiful house next door.
Well, his woodworking tools are going to be upstairs now, so it's going to be a lot faster.
Yeah, well, yeah, so what, we're going to give you like 4 months to finish?
He doesn't have to go downstairs anymore.
There we go. Okay,
Thank you. Hang
very
on one
much.
second. Is there, board members, do you have any questions? No. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Okay. Anyone else have any concerns, comments? No? Yeah, go for it. Come on up.
I think I put it in the application, I can't find it. But my house is grandfathered for a two-family now, and I think it's the only one around in that neighborhood, so I'm actually part of this project is to eliminate that characteristic and go to a single-family residence, which now is in line with the whole neighborhood. So just want to add that, so.
So, and now if he removes that He can't, is he grandfathered in right now, or?
If it's a non-conforming property, he's got the right to do it, but if he abandons it by converting it to a single family,
You
it
can't
can't
get
be
it back.
converted back without zoning relief. So I don't,
That was explained to me
Okay.
by Jamie and his staff, so I'm
Okay.
good with that, so.
If you're okay with that, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, anyone have any other thoughts on it? No? Anyone want to make a motion? Please.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mr.
I'll make a motion to approve the application of Mr. Levon Kasparian on a meeting held on Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. Mr. Levon Kasparian presented his application. Mr. Kasparian spoke in behalf of his application as well as his neighbor, Ms. Margaret Rankin. Thank you, what she said, in Pagliazzo. Mr. Kasparian also presented letters of support from neighbors Brian Steele and Derek DeMaio. The materials presented into the record were application ZBR 26-8 for property at 29 Peckham Ave. It's the assessor's map 57-2, lot 38, which is zoned R80. The board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject of the land and structure and not the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to the physical or economic disability of the applicant, excepting those disabilities addressed in 452430. Applicant is desiring to simply construct a two-story addition to the existing dwelling. The addition will be located 25.9 feet from the east side of the property line. The required setback is 36.1 feet. Therefore, Mr. Kasparian is seeking relief of 10.2 feet. This is on the present lot, which is 1.7 acres. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant. The board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or comprehensive plan upon which ordinance is based. And the board further finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than a mere inconvenience, meaning that relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use to which the property is proposed to be devoted to. I'll do it.
That's the motion?
That's
You
my
good?
motion.
All right. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Hicks. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. Elia?
Aye.
Motion passes. Good luck. Thank you. Enjoy. All right, so we have attendance for next month's meeting, which is May 20th. Does everyone feel like they'll be here? Excellent. And then, did everyone receive the March 25th, 2026 minutes that were emailed to everybody? Yes. I did get a chance to review them. I didn't have any changes. Everyone, motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. That was really awkward. Any other discussion? Nope. Okay. Thank you very much.